here, you and I, right? We were here before some of our leaders, including the president of Ghana, they signed security partnership with the EU, right? The EU came to Africa and they are concerned about the security of Africa, right here. And they're trying to go through our leaders to sign security agreement, defense agreement. In their conversations, they care for Africa. They love the security of Africa. They want Africa to be free and have peace. And this security agreement is about tackling this insurgent we are dealing with, right? From the Sahel across all the way to Nigeria. So how did we get here? That straight conversation coming out from the European Union Parliament. I'm going to play at least 4 videos right here in this video. Conversation emerging from the European Union Parliament. Argument from one side and confrontation from one side. Reveal. And this whole thing is around, this conversation is around the Sahel. These conversations coming from the European Union Parliament reveal that weapons are being bought specifically for the use of Africa, Sahel.
Get 4 times more recruiter views with LinkedIn Premium's AI features.
Do not get a consolidation loan until you see this. Hey, Mario Lopez here, and if you're thinking about getting a consolidation loan...
No, like, I don't get it. Before you say somebody is going crazy, you hold on. You know, let's have this. I did not plan this video, structure anything, but let's have this conversation very, very organically, right? I want you to do something for me. First of all, like the video. Subscribe also. The best push you can give to this video is for this video to get to many people as possible. This is something that cannot be seen or heard by just few people. So please, do me a favor. Let's push this video. Let us at least have the highest like on this video so that we can push it. Because I don't get it. Somebody also need to help me in the comment section. There has been confrontation from the European Union Parliament and argument. The argument stemmed from Christophe Gomat. This is a French retired army general, and he is a member of the European People's Party. And his political focus, whenever he talk and his role in the parliament is focused on European defense, industry, and foreign policy. Then confrontation came from this man right here. His name is Marc Botenga. He's a Belgian member of the European Parliament representing the left group. When you follow the European Union Parliament procedures, you realize that he's very, very vocal, a critic of European Union foreign policy regarding Israel, Iran, and all that. And here we are. In confronting Christophe Gomat, he reveals something really, really deep. So first of all, let's listen to Christophe Gomat before we move forward. Let's treat that. All right. Listen to what he said in the European Union Parliament. I don't know why the European Union Parliament will not focus on European Union and they are so focused on Africa. Let's first of all treat his message.
Burkina Faso, this West African country, illustrates today the dramatic failure of the military junta in power since the coup d'etat of 2022. In 4 years, the country has gradually isolated itself from the international community, been suspended from several regional and international organizations, while fundamental freedoms are methodically reduced.
Hold on. Let's keep something straight. When he said Burkina Faso isolated gradually itself from international community, do they think they are the only people who people can deal with? When you say international community, so long as Europe is not involved, then it is isolation. Russia is there. China is there. Turkey is there. I mean, Arab nations are there. You are the only people having problem, by the way. And he also mentioned that freedom of speech has been gradually limited. Practically, freedom of speech in Burkina Faso is under attack. Before we move on with this speech, Ibrahim Traore has something to say about this. Let's first of all listen to that, then we move forward with the rest of the conversation. Because I don't want us to miss anything. right?
Is there freedom of expression in France? There is not. If you do not align yourself with the ideology of the authorities, they hunt you. On the TV set, there are journalists who are hunted over there. We saw that recently. Lately, the Claudia who have been expelled from the RFI, they are journalists, right? Journalists who have experienced, right? Yet they chased them out of that radio station. Why were they sacked? They were sacked just for their sharing their opinions. So there is no freedom of expression there. Today, look at the wars that are going on. Are you crazy as a journalist to go make certain report? It will never happen, you dare not. When the Ukrainian-Russian war began, they sacked lots of Russian media in France. That's what freedom of expression is all about. Every freedom has its limits. When the peasants, the yellow vests and others are out, they beat them well. They wanted to express their opinions to say to the state that makes a certain policy, for us to do so we can live. They beat them. We here, we take care of our peasants. Our farmers never protested and they were beaten by us. We take care of them. We do everything we can so that they can cultivate quietly, give the best of it, but elsewhere it is not done. But it is these countries that are in the stands, trying to educate other country of freedom. It's not true they are all dictators. Their freedom comes from Africa, so we must relativize freedom. Here we are freer than them, much freer.
Traoré has answered that question in that regard. Let's move forward.
At the same time, the security situation has worsened. More than half of the territory is beyond the control of the state, and several million Burkinabe have been displaced and need humanitarian aid. After more than 10 years of fighting terrorism with the support of France and Europe, cut off from its former partners, Burkina Faso is sinking into chaos. It has become a sanctuary for Islamist terrorist groups and organized crime, posing an increasing threat to its neighboring countries, the most economically dynamic in the region, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, or Benin. This resolution rightly reminds us of the support from civil society and humanitarian actors. But we must also take on a strategic responsibility, strengthen our support to neighboring states that today form the first line of defense against the destabilization of all of West Africa. Because when West Africa falters, it is Europe that will falter.
When West Africa falter, it is Europe that will falter. Are you an African? He said a lot of things here, right? No comment for now. Let's hang the rest of the thing he said, okay? Regarding how the Sahel has become a T group domain. More than half of the country is beyond the control of the military. And then Burkina Faso has become a threat to Togo, Benin, and Co. Let's put that aside. I will explain a lot of things to you, but let's move to the big conversation. Then he was confronted by Mark Botinga. If I'm pronouncing it wrongly, forgive me, right? Now, this is what Mark has to say in regards to this, which brought a lot of questions. Please like the video for me. Very nice. It do not take anything. Yours is just a click, support, then we move forward so that others can have access to it. Please, let's move forward.
You're a bit upset about being expelled, about having been expelled from the Sahel, aren't you? Listening to some of my colleagues, especially the French on the right, and everything is starting to become a bit clearer in my head, because I wondered, in Belgium, in France, we continue to produce, to buy military equipment for billions of euros. It was specifically designed to be used in the Sahel, I thought. It's strange because we're told we need to defend ourselves from Russia, but we're buying this specialized military equipment for Africa. We're going to cut our pensions, our hospitals, our schools to do this.
No. Yo. Listen to this part again. Listen to this part.
And everything is starting to become a bit clearer in my head, because I wondered, in Belgium, in France, we continue to produce, to buy military equipment for billions of euros. It was specifically designed to be used in the Sahel, I thought. It's strange because we're told we need to defend ourselves from Russia, but we're buying this specialized military equipment for Africa. We're going to cut our pensions, our hospitals, our schools to do this.
He mentioned that they were told that they're supposed to defend themselves from Russia. So the equipment is about defense against, right? Because he mentioned defense. He was going to mention something else also.
I found it strange. I wondered why. And I looked into it, and I understood that the Sahel region has actually established itself in recent years as one of the most important mining corridors in Africa.
Burkina Faso is one of the largest gold producers in Africa, but it also has copper, zinc, manganese, and phosphate. But it is true that
Mali will soon become the second African producer of lithium. Niger obviously holds hundreds of thousands of tons of uranium. And for years, decades, European companies have had cheap access to all these resources, all this wealth. Result, countries plunder, and extreme poverty for their population.
And now you're afraid of losing these accesses. But instead of always wanting to interfere with us, always waging war, because we saw with the destruction of Libya what that led to, let's rather help these countries with everything we can to support their sovereign development.
Hold on. He mentioned something.
And now you're afraid of losing these accesses. But instead of always wanting to interfere with us, always waging war, because we saw with the destruction of Libya what that led to, let's rather help these countries with everything we can to support their sovereign development.
Instead of always wanting to interfere and always waging war. So what is the weapons for? That's what we're tracing, right? The moment Libya was mentioned, I got the entire point. You see, if it is about something that we say they are buying these weapons to go and help the Sahel fight insecurity, there shouldn't be a case where we are mentioning, Libya right here and talking about waging war, right? We shouldn't be talking about that. But he brought up this case. Now, when would these weapons when could they be used? Till the day the people begin to buy our narrative, just as they bought it in the time of Libya, and we went in there to interfere, to save the people from Khadafi, right? Are you getting the point right here? That is why European Union Parliament is coming always with this conversation. People are not buying it. After this, you hold on. I give you the space of 1 month. You are going to see, as the European Union raise this conversation, the media is going to carry something. Something is about to just happen in the Sahel, and then the media will carry to cause panic, right? To validate what the European Union is pulling out. The European Union that we are partnering with, this is what they have in here. It's crazy, right? Now, I found a particular clip. You see, I don't want to talk about this. I found a particular clip. Let me play that clip to you. Then we move forward.
We cannot have Africa united or in control of its own resources. But neocolonialism was in part responsible for the coup because it exposed, the workings of international finance capital in Africa, actually gave charts showing the network of these big foreign companies that were exploiting Africa's resources. And that was probably the final straw in deciding this dangerous man has got to be removed. We cannot have Africa united or in control of its own resources. And so that was a factor because it had such an impact in America. The American government immediately stopped aid to Ghana when that book was published, yes, and lodged a very strong diplomatic complaint, through their embassy in Accra.
She is speaking about how the FCA book written by Kwame Nkrumah, Neocolonialism, the Last Stage of Imperialism. That book written by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, they fear the book, and she's speaking in respect to that. Why Nkrumah need to go and da. So this, you connect it with the conversation coming from the European Union Parliament, a whole lot of things make sense right there. The day people begin to buy this idea that Burkina Faso, the people are being oppressed. The junta leader, as they call it, is suppressing the people. Just like Gaddafi, we need to go there, and that is where these new beautiful weapons that they are being bought, they are buying specifically for the use of the Sahel. Conclude the conversation yourself. Now, is our leaders aware of this? Is Mahama aware of this? Is the rest of the leaders, are you aware of this? African Union, ECOWAS, are you aware of this? Now, when you go to the message passed by this man right here, Mr. Gomat, Christophe, when he said the Sahel has become a threat to the rest of the West Africa countries, Togo and Ghana, it is completely not accurate, because Nigeria right here, if you are looking for a country where majority of the country, more than 60% of the country, is beyond the government control, is Nigeria. It is now on daily basis. Do you know why they are not talking about it? Do you know why the conversation is not about Nigeria all the time? It is because they are succeeding already. I mean, the goal is being achieved already. So we move to NATO. You see how France is pushing this whole thing and African leaders are all over Emmanuel Macron and all these things. Nigeria, practically every region right now is surrounded by the prodigal sons. So if something that the European Union is concerned about Africa is not Burkina Faso, why is it that in Burkina Faso, you people don't talk about this? Why are they not talking about the fact that since independence, 6%, since independence till Traoré took over, 6% of total road network was paved in Burkina Faso. 6% of the country's total road network. You can go and search it, my brothers and sisters. 6% over 64 years before Chairman came on board. When you look at it, as the president came on board, leader of Burkina Faso, the government of Burkina Faso, why is the European Union not raising this issue and commending the government that they are committed to be, how do you call it, paving 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers per year? That is their target right now as they are running. Why is it not talking about the auto routes that they are building? Why is it not talking about the factories constructed and the job opportunities? Why is it not talking about the houses built for displaced people under the former government, the democratic government? Millions of people have been displaced. This man is now on the verge of, first of all, merging these people with agriculture, making sure that agriculture-wise they become economic independence, and then some of them are learning trade and they are building houses that they are going to live in for free. In Burkina Faso, it's not a joke. It's not something that we are just making. No, they are building houses so that these people can have, houses to live in instead of shelter. That is why they kick out all your NGOs who come there with the structure and put them in the structure and be taking picture of them. They will be in that rubber structure and then they will be taking money from all over saying they are helping them, and then the help is not reflecting on the ground. Yes, these things, reform going on in Burkina Faso. Why are they not talking about it? The power plant that Burkina Faso is building right now, a huge one, to make sure that there is electricity everywhere in Burkina. Why is he not talking about these things? You are in the parliament and then you came out with agenda. It's a very beautiful thing, good thing that this man was confronted right to the face. It means that there are people in the European Union Parliament who actually know the truth. But you know what? The media is going to carry the conversation champion or the argument champion by, how do you call it? What's his name? Christophe Gomat. Whether it's Gomat or Gomat, this media will carry his conversation and then use that as a statistic to put in their reportage, and then, the public will be confused. So until the people begin to buy this, they cannot use what they bought to be used in the Sahel. As, revealed by Botenga, the Belgian member of the European Parliament. I'm yet to see an African parliament sitting down and be talking about Europeans' problem, European Union problems. Family, do me a favor again. I'll ask again. Hit the like button, subscribe, and put us on notification. See.
But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing the
Tampa market.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the Horn of Africa.
But the local farmers.
All right, folks. Good afternoon once again. This is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series as part of WCC. Every Saturday or every Sunday, I'm going to be here. We're going to be here. Now, you listen to the video, right? So interesting. Now, today's topic, it says, the enemies of Africa, which is NATO, If you didn't know that, the NATO nations are the enemies of Africa. The NATO's leaders are the enemies of Africa. Clear cut. No mission, what about that? By this time, Africans should know their enemies. By this time, the African continent should know who her enemy is. By this time, Black people, African people, should know who their enemies is or are. Now, the enemies of Africa, which is NATO, the enemies of Africa is NATO, right? That kill Khadafi and destroy Libya. The European Union with their NATO nations that went and killed Khadafi and destroy Libya. Today, Libya is destroyed beyond destroy. It is that same NATO nation, that same European Union, who have vowed to unalive the AES leaders. Now, Africans, Black people, we should stop making war. We should identify our enemies and let them know they are our enemies. All the NATO nations are the enemies of Africa. And these NATO nations are the devil and they are the demon. We should know that. No more making war to come. Oh, there's no. These NATO nations are the devil. These NATO nations are the enemies, are the demons of Africa. We're going to prove that today. This is WCC. We don't come here with opinion. We back anything that we say. All of these NATO nations are not friends to Africa. All of these NATO nations are not Africa friends. They are not, and they will never be. Now, as much as you may want to talk about peace sake, the minds of these people are desperately evil. The minds of the European Union, the minds of the European Parliament, the minds of the NATO nation are desperately evil against African people. It is desperately evil against the African continent. These people are devil, they are evil. They have no human feelings. Now, we're going to get into it. But let me say this. Africans, Black people, whether you are on the African continent or you are out of the African continent, let me ask this question. How can these devil nations, these demons, who sat down and veto and said the transatlantic slave trade, slavery, where these white folks, these European, these NATO nations that rape African women, Black women, that put them on sex plantations, that debated over pregnant women, whether it was boy or a girl, and they split that pregnant women gut just to make sure, to validate what they were saying. These are people who took Black babies and feed it to alligator as alligator bait. These people. These are people who have women, Black women, on their plantation as sex slaves, having sex with them, getting them pregnant, and then selling the babies to the plantation owner only because the baby turned all white. Turned all Black. They sold their own sperm, their own baby to slave plantation only because the baby did not come out white. The baby came out mulatto or black. These are people who were castrating black people, who were raping mothers in front of their children. These white people, these European, these barbaric people. These are the people that sat down and said everything that they have did against black people. They never saw it as crime, and they vetoed it. They said, no, it is not a crime. Well, 123 nations voted as the worst crime against humanity on this planet Earth. The European Union said no. America said no. Argentina said no. Israel said no. Let me ask you, then how can these people come out to tell us what human right is, or who violates human right, or who does not violate human right, or who is to define human right for us to tell us what is human right that we should live by? If anyone is to talk about human right, actually is the black man. If anyone is to define human right, it is the black man, not white man. Let me say this. White man does not have the capacity or the guts to tell any black man about human right, what human right is. We black people can stand and beat our chest and define what human right is to the white man and tell the white man to honor what we are saying, not the other way around, because white people are disgusting, especially the European Union, the European Parliament, these NATO nations, they are disgusting. You are not in a moral position, because you know what? Black people have never castrated white men. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah. So let us be frank here. The European nation does not have the audacity to dictate to Africa about human rights. The European nation does not have the right to tell African people about what human right is or about what governance is. And the European Union so loved Africa. Look at Libya. It was the same NATO, the same European nation, the European Union that destroyed Libya today. It is the same NATO, the same European Union that killed Khadafi. Look at Libya today. The same NATO, that European Union, that NATO that gave ammunition to the Arab Spring to destroy Libya, to kill Khadafi, along with the United States military. Look at Libya today. Are they the one to come and tell us what human right is or what freedom is? Now, you know, for those of you that watch the video, we're going to get into this. The Crystal Gomo, that idiot, Crystal Gomo, that idiot, that animal, that devil, that demon, he made a statement that in Burkina Faso, millions of people are being displaced. Where is the data? Where is that video of the millions of Burkinabe that are being displaced? Where is the video of the million of the Burkinabe who have been displaced? Look, at this time, we don't need any white man to speak for Africa. At this time, we don't need Europe to speak for Africa because Europe is the problem to the African continent and to the black race. The predicament we are in today, it was caused by Europe. You guys supported war in Sudan. You guys supported war in Libya, destroyed Libya, Somalia. What have you guys done for Africa? You know, he made a statement, if Africa fall, Europe fall. No, it is the other way around. We are already fall. We are fall already. We are trying to wake up. We are down already. We are trying to wake up. And the truth is, what you should have said is this. If Africa rise, Europe fall. You think we are going to take that bullshit narrative of the European Union, of white people, of Europe? You guys are the devil. You guys are the demon. We know now. You are Africa's greatest enemy. If Africa fall, Europe fall. No, if Africa rise, Europe fall. If Africa control her resources, Europe fall. If the African population control their resources, manufacture their resources, Europe fall. And do you think we really care? Do you think we really care? If you fall, do you think so? We really care. You need what we got, come and buy it. And then the idiots, that Crystal Gomo, that idiot, that demon, that devil, made a statement to say Burkina Faso has isolated itself from the war. No way, or from the international community. You see how these people think? Who are the international community? Who define what international community is? So if nobody is part of Europe, or making business with Europe, or making business with the United States or the United States government, then that means you are not part of the international community. You are an idiot. You are stupid. You are crazy. It's Jimmy Papa. You're the crazy. You think Europe, look, the truth here is Burkina Faso did not isolate itself. Mali did not isolate itself. Niger did not isolate itself. The truth is, it is Europe who is isolating itself. It is France who is isolating itself. It is you people ignorant and stubbornness that is isolating itself. Africa, look, Burkina Faso is moving forward. Look at the rest of the African nations who you think they are part of that so-called international community. Look at them, how their life is. Poverty, stink, nothing, no good healthcare, no good living condition. But look at Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. See how far they are gone, and go to the rest of the African nation who so-called say they are part of this international community whatsoever. Go and see the life of the citizens, and go to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Go and see the changes. Oh, so when Europe is living a better life of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, uranium, gold, and cotton, then the war is in a better place. Then there's no violation of human rights. So you don't care about the suffering of the masses of people in our region. But all you care about, once you get their uranium, once you get their diamond, their cotton, their oil, their life is fine. Then human right is fine. If that's how you define human right, not caring about the people that live there whose resources are being looted. But if the people manage their own resources to enrich themselves, to improve the livelihood of the citizens, then that is against human rights. If they take that uranium for France, if they take that uranium and not supplying Europe, that is against human rights. You are stupid. And if that's why you call against human rights, we support that idea. We don't care about your human being. The truth is, look, at this point of time, the same way all you care about is Europe, it is the same way all we care about is black people. We don't care about Europe. What we care about is Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea. Zimbabwe, name the rest, Senegal. That's all we care about. We don't care about England. We don't care about France. We don't care about Poland or where. We don't care. Our interest is Africa. Why your interest is Europe, our interest is Africa. Why you create your narrative, we create our narrative. Why you create your stories, we create our stories. Why you create your perception, we create our perception. The same way. You are no longer going to tell us what it is, and we follow it. At that time, maybe we did not know the true enemies of Africa. Now we know. You sit down and plan the removal of Khadafi. You kill him. You want to come lecture us about human rights, about Burkina Faso violating human rights or Niger? You forcefully sit down and plot against Nkrumah. These are great leaders. You want to come and lecture about human rights? You sit down and kill Thomas Sankara. You want to come and lecture about human rights? You kill Patrick Lumumba. You want to lecture about human rights? You support terrorist activities on the African continent. You want to come and lecture about human rights? You said no nation should sell ammunition to the African continent. You want to come and lecture about human rights, but at the same time you support the terrorists. You want to come and lecture about human rights? You create all kind of diseases, HIV, Ebola, everything safely. TB, you take it on the African continent and inject it in people. You want to come and lecture about human rights? Bioweapon, you create these things just to depopulate the African masses. You want to come and lecture about human rights? You the crazy, you the stupid. It's me, Papa. You think we are going to take that narrative of the white savior complex? We are done with that narrative of the white savior complex. You are not God, you are not angel. The truth is, you are the opposite. You are what the Bible speak of, that you are the devil. You are synagogues of Satan. You are the enemies. And he said, we should be careful of you. You sit there and kill Khadafi. You destroy Libya. Today, that has spread on the African continent. And you want to come and lecture about human rights when the Libyan oil are being looted. Today, the billions of dollars that Khadafi left behind, where is it? Have you taken out billions of dollars to the Libyan people? But you have it in your comfort zone. Maybe you might be even be distributing it for scholarship towards your people, your citizens. Who knows? You want to come and lecture about human rights. Look at the war in Sudan. Why can't you go to Sudan? But you want to lecture about human rights, about leaders that are fighting against the same terrorists you are funding with your taxpayer money. And then you want to come and lecture about human rights. Do you really love African people? You don't. You never love us, and you will never love us. Because if you love us, you will work with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. But to say those people are committing heinous crime against human rights, who are the human rights? Are you human? Are you guys human? The European Union, are you human? You guys are not human. You guys are devil. You guys are not human. We don't classify you guys as human because of your attitude. Oh yes, let's look into something here. You know, let me show something first. Let me show something here. When the European Union is talking about human rights, this is the kind of human right they are talking about. Listen.
He was building one currency for all of Africa. No US dollar, no French franc, just African gold. France sent a memo to Hillary Clinton. It named the gold dinar as the primary reason for military intervention, not human rights, the currency. That memo is real. It was released under the Freedom of Information Act. It's on the State Department's own website right now. NATO bombed Libya for 7 months. Gaddafi was captured and killed on camera. The gold disappeared. Libya's central bank was one of the only banks in the world without Rothschild control before 2011. It got one within weeks of his death. Before he died, Gaddafi said, "They are coming for me because I tried to free Africa from financial slavery." The emails say he was right.
So you see that when they talk about freedom for Africa, that's what they mean, to rob Africa. When they are talking about human right, they don't love you. It's not actually about what they are saying. It's the opposite. They never love Africa. They have been undermining Africa of time without numbers. They love Africa. Why did they kill Khadafi? Why did they remove Nkrumah? Why did they kill Thomas Sankara, Amilcar Cabral, Patrick Lumumba? Why did they kill these people? And these are all great leaders. These leaders were never dictators. These leaders never wanted anything bad for Africa but goods. They wanted to build Africa, to elaborate. I mean, these are people who believe in human rights. But you kill these people, and then you want to come and lecture us about what human right is? Oh, so when Europe is talking about human right, that means their human right is about killing Africans. That's the kind of human right. Their human right is about supporting terrorists against Africans, supporting Boko Haram, supporting ISIS against Africans. That's human right to them. That is their definition of a human right, to destroy the African nations, like how they have destroyed Sudan, how they have destroyed Libya, how they have destroyed other places with proxy war, Liberia, for example. That is human right to them. This is another human right. Look here. This is what they killed Thomas. They also killed Thomas Sankara for. Listen to this. What Thomas Sankara said here. They killed him for this. So this is human right, right? Europe. This is human right.
The food aid we've received, unfortunately, instead of helping us to develop, has kept us in a beggar mentality. Every day, we hold out our hands to ask for food. That is bad. Secondly, food aid means that our farmers who could have produced can no longer produce, because when they produce, they can no longer sell. It's the surplus from farmers in other countries that is brought here. We are asking for something else. Those who really want to help us can give us plows or tractors, fertilizers, insecticides, hoses, watering cans, dams, boreholes. There, that is food aid. But those who bring us bags of wheat, millet, corn, or milk, they are not helping us.
So that was just a short video, but very powerful. That's Thomas Sankara. They see European Union along with or how do you call it, another stupid African. They killed Thomas Sankara only because he said we don't want food from Europe. We want to produce our own food. We want to be food self-sufficient. We want to be medically self-sufficient. We want to be to have our own technology self-sufficient in those things. We want to produce everything in Burkina Faso. They kill him for that. Is that human right? So all the brilliant idea he had, it was against human right. So you see, whenever African people have brilliant idea for themselves to improve their life for themselves, then Europe or the white men come and say they are fighting for human right. It is against human right. Our ideas, our right is against their right. So when they're talking about human right, it is not for you, it's about them. These are people that kill our leaders, our great leaders. Then they come to lecture us about human right. Does that make sense? These people are very stupid. They are very delusional, thinking that we will continue to listen to them. Are you people hallucinating? This is another one. Look at them saying that on their table.
Traders, so that the slave trade could succeed in Africa. It is because Africans were traders that colonization was able to continue in Africa. The world is going to hell. We examine history. We will see Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba faced betrayal for his defiance. Lumumba bothered us. He is dead. We are happy. That is treason. Many other heroes have fallen, so that we are here today. And it is a technique of imperialism to scare others by carrying out unlearned actions to truly create terror. It did not start today. And they used it to eliminate many other people who dared to stand up to him. And I think Thomas Sankara is a good example. If you're afraid, you coward and a traitor. Never be afraid. The fight must continue. Africans were traders so that the slave trade could succeed.
You see that? Sitting down, looking at a monitor. That's a devilly behavior. That's what makes these people the devil. Look at them sitting at a monitor listening. And what Abraham is saying is the damn God truth. These people are the devil, the demons. Let's continue here.
They control the military-industrial complex, the news media, the music industry, Hollywood, big tech, big pharma, and all the big banks and central banks around the world. They control the ultra-processed food industry, specifically designed to make us all sick. They own and control all the smut and filth used to subvert Christian society. They were responsible for both world wars. They were responsible for the attacks on 9/11. They were responsible for the COVID pandemic and the poisonous injection that they falsely labeled a vaccine. They were responsible for Jeffrey Epstein and the child sex ring operation that was used to control U.S. politicians, celebrities, and billionaires through blackmail. And it is more than apparent that international organized Jewry controls our Congress, our president, this council, this mayor, and the mayor's corrupt brother, Congressman Frank Pallone. My legal arguments were ignored, so now it's time to get biblical. I'm sure you're all under the impression that the modern state of Israel is somehow connected to the Israel from the Bible. It's not. Israel, also known as Jacob, was a man, not a land and not a country. He had descendants that were known as the children of Israel or the Israelites. However, an overwhelming majority of modern-day Israelis have absolutely no ancestral connection to the Middle East or the ancient Israelites of the Bible. They are Ashkenazi Jews of European descent who can trace their ancestry back to Khazaria, what is now modern-day Ukraine. These people claim to be Jews, but are not. They are actually the synagogue of Satan, as stated in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9.
This guy is spitting some straight facts in this council meeting here. Many things point towards these Zionists as being the main force that is pushing us into a New World Order beast system. But in this final push for freedom here on social media, many people are starting to wake up to exactly just who these people are. And they are not God's chosen people. Make sure you follow me for more, and God bless.
So how can we take instruction for these people? Synagogues of Satan. These are the demon. These are the devil. These NATO nations, they are devil, they are demon. And the truth is, sometimes it is hard to say because black people, we don't want to, you see, black people, right? All over, black people. I mean, if you go on the African continent, if you go to the US, you go to Europe, I mean, everywhere black people are. You know what? When we see the truth, we always have problem with the truth. We always want to accept the lies. Black, I mean, it's everywhere. I don't know. It's just the nature. For some reason, I don't know. Black people, we always want to accept the lies. But the truth, it's very difficult for us to accept the truth. These people are the devil. They are the demon. Can't you see? How can someone who create the situation that you in, that you want to get off, and they don't want to get you out, for each time you want to get out, they suppress you. But it is the same person that will come and tell you what human right is. It is the same person that will come and tell you, oh, what I'm doing to suppress you, what I'm doing to kill your leaders, your great leaders, what I'm doing to unalive people who need to come and free you is not wrong. It's not wrong. It's the right thing I'm doing. And then these are the same people who will come and tell us what human right is. And then some of our brothers and sisters who are so delusional, who are so stupid, will go and take this narrative from mainstream Western media, take that narrative of what human right is, and then push the story. But under no circumstances at this time, that anything will come from the European Parliament, even Washington, D.C., Congress, anything will come from there. At this time, black people, we still honor it as legit. At this time, man, there's something wrong with us.
We lied about Iraq. We lied about Afghanistan. We lied about Somalia. We lied about Libya. We put more small arms and medium arms into the hands of terrorist groups the world over. We lied about Vietnam. We lied about Iraq. We lied about Afghanistan. We lied about Somalia. We lied about Libya. We put more small arms and medium arms into the hands of terrorist groups the world over.
So you heard that. We lie about Libya. They lie on Khadafi. So look, Africans, how at this time the white man, Europe, will stay together and come and tell us about Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, what they are doing is against human rights. Then we believe them. These are people, and I'm saying it. So we will believe them after they destroy Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which of course, God forbid, is not going to happen. After they kill Abraham Traore, which of course is not going to happen, God forbid. After they kill Tiani, which of course is not going to happen, God forbid. After they kill Semi Goita, which of course is not going to happen, God forbid. After they do it, right? Then another 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years pass by. Then they come back to us and then tell us in our faces, oh, Africa, you black people are stupid and dumb. What we said about Abraham Traore was false. What we said about Tiani was false. What we said about Assemi Goita was false. So, are you guys getting it? After a couple of years, these same idiots came back and told us what they said about Gaddafi was lie. What they said about Libya was false. And then you want us to come back here again to be talking about another a great African leader, to be reminding you that, oh, they did the same thing to Khadafi, they did the same thing to Abraham Touare, they did the same thing to Geita, they did the same thing to Tiani. You think we want to come here and say that again? No, we are not going to come back here and say they did this. What they did to Khadafi, they did the same thing to the AES leader. No, we will not do that. It's not going to happen. But this time, Washington, D.C. will not succeed. Europe will not succeed. This devil will not succeed. This demon will not succeed. That's the same narrative they are coming with again. Then after a few years, and then they come out and tell us, oh, what we said about Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso was false. And then we will come here and then they will tell us Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso wanted African freedom. And then do you want us to come here back after a few years and say, oh, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were fighting for Africa, they wanted African freedom? No, it means we ourselves, we are part of the problem. We are not fighting and we are not happy to protect these people and to expose these demons. Look what they are saying now in our faces. What can we do? Gaddafi is dead. Can we do anything? Absolutely not. Do you now? Even with all these, they are reminding us, they are telling us that what they killed Gaddafi, the narrative was false. But equally so, we never see European Parliament, we never see European Union coming together and say they want to charge NATO nation for killing Gaddafi. They want to charge NATO nation of what they did was against humanity. They don't want to say that. They killed Gaddafi, they killed Gaddafi's son, they killed Gaddafi's daughter. And look at Libya today. European Union will never ever come out to say, look at Libya. Libya is destroyed. They will never do it. But these are the people that want us to believe that when they come to speak about human rights, we should believe them about their term and definition of a human right. Are you understanding? Are these people think we are so dumb and stupid now? Maybe we were in the past. We were maybe in the past. But this time around, your dumb days are at hand. Listen to another one here. Another journalist. And she never ever denied it. Listen to this. She never denied it. She agreed to it of what they are doing on the African continent. Listen to this.
Remember, Al-Qaeda and all this extremist group has been funded directly by the United States and the Zionist regime in Israel. So this is the context that we have to understand what is happening in Mali. And for us, we say that the sovereignty in the Sahel region will only take place when French imperialism and the United States imperialism is weakened or defeated.
So how do you see that happening? How do you see the situation being resolved?
Now, she's a journalist there, right? And she was told, remember, the situation in the Sahel region, so to speak, right, was funded by you people. The Boko Haram, the ISIS, the terrorists was funded by you people. She never denied it. And then she said, and then the guy said, the only way, I'm just paraphrasing it, but I'm going to play back so you can listen. The only way the Sahel or Africa can be free is to get French imperialism out, European imperialism out, these Westerner out. And then that's a strong statement that was made that you people are the one funding the terrorists. And she never asked this person that, oh, you know, where's the evidence or whatsoever, or to defend herself, right? Or to defend her country, or to defend her continent. She never did it. But you know what she said? So how are you going to do that to get us out of your continent or out of your nation? So that means she actually agreed that what he said, that these Westerners are the one funding the terrorists, is true, even though it's true, like the previous video we watched, right? That white guy said, They are the one that gave him all these weapons to the terrorists. You heard it. And then there's a journalist sitting here interviewing this man, and the man is telling us, you people are the one that funding the terrorists. And she never denied. And then the guy said, the only thing we can do is to get you guys out. She never denied. And then she said, but then how are you going to do that to get her out? So that means she agreed that they are the one funding the terrorists.
Remember, Al Qaeda and all this extremist group has been funded directly by the United States and the Zionist regime in Israel. So this is the context that we have to understand what is happening in Mali. And for us, we say that the sovereignty in the Sahel region will only take place when French imperialism and the United States imperialism is weakened or defeated.
So how do you see that happening? How do you see the situation being resolved?
Now, in terms of resolution, they have no option. Remember, they have been palling around the French terrorists for a long time. So there is no option of going back to where they have come from. Because remember, there are some analysts that are telling us that the Malian people have to go back to their military package and partnership within the framework of Paris and Washington. This has not been able to cause peace in the longest possible time. In fact, our only honest opinion is that without the Russian military hardware in Mali, the Malian will be bombed to Stone Age. And the protection of sovereignty is also the military might that might exist within the great powers or the regional powers of the region. So we talk to Malian people as our brothers, that they must continue to fortify the anti-imperialist front, the anti-US imperialist front, to make sure that they mobilize the mass movements, they mobilize all the people that have been affected in the region, especially within Sahel. Remember, there was a small video yesterday of a small kid, looking at the French soldier and saying, he is a plunderer, he is a murderer. So the French imperialism has lost the propaganda and they have lost militarity in Mali. So the only solution is collective resistance of the Malian people and the people of the Sahel region.
So you see that, right? So her concern was, okay, yes, we are funding the terrorists. Yes, we are funding the Al Qaeda, the Boko Haram. Okay, but her main concern was, then what is the solution? What are you guys going to do? Because she wants to know the solution so that she can take the solution back to Washington, D.C. Because she sat down in front of this guy, and the guy told her, the terrorists, the Boko Haram, the Al Qaeda, the ISIS are funded by the United States government, are funded by Israel. Okay, are funded by you people. So the only thing we can do is to get you guys out, right? So her concern was, okay, I agree, we're doing all these things, right? But what is your solution? Basically, you listen to the video. You see it. You see it? She never denied what was said. She never denied it. She agreed to it. Okay, then what are you guys going to do? Okay, what is the solution? And the guy gave her the solution. And so what she was there for was to get the solution and then come back to Washington, D.C. and get the solution to Washington, D.C. and then tell Washington, D.C. this is what they said they are going to do. Take the solution to EU, to the NATO nation, this devil, this demon, and tell them this is what they said they are going to do. Do you see? You see that? So these are the people that will come and define human rights for us. And then we agree, we take it, we run with it about human rights. These are the people that will tell us how a government is supposed to run in Africa. And they want us to take it. They want us to believe it. They want us to run with it. They want us to say, yes, really? Let's continue.
is the Mediterranean and Africa, where our destiny is at stake. And so we French have constantly tried to involve Europeans in this awareness of the need to act collectively in Africa and the Mediterranean. And I am absolutely sorry to see the failure of our commitments. And I think that in any case, we will have to ask the question again. It is simply unconscious. And so I think that this common interest should one day make Europe decide to act as a political entity that will defend its own interests, including by means of the commitment of its armies, Europeans, the Mediterranean and Africa, where our destiny is at stake. And so we French have constantly tried to involve Europeans in this awareness of the need to act collectively in Africa and the Mediterranean. And I am absolutely sorry to see the failure of our commitments. And I think that in any case, we will have to ask the question again. It is simply unconscious. And so I think that this common interest should one day make Europe decide to act as a political entity that will defend its own interests, including by means of the commitment of its armies.
So you heard that. That's a French guy. You heard what he said. Europe interest is at stake because of Africa trying to rise. Because Africa have understand the game of the white man, understand the game of Europe, understand the game of the Western or of the West. Africa have understand the lies. Africa have understand that these people are the devil, these people are the demon. Africa have understand the game. So now Africa is taking her place, her position. Now Africa is saying, no, we don't want this. So now Europe interest, the Western world interest is at stake. So now they have to come together to mobilize the European army. Listen to this. Now, some of you stupid and dumb African leaders, we play some of these things for it to reach to you people, especially like how to call it, this idiot of a president called William Ruto. Especially this idiot of a president called William Ruto. We play these things so that people like William Ruto can see it. This is not a disrespect to him, but these are the people that are creating a problem on the African continent. These are the people who are the problem on the African continent. And we play some of these things so that they can see it. People like William Ruto can see it. They see a warning with Macron is not in Africa's interest. Coming to the White House and Joe Biden putting you in the presidential seat, where you sit down at the seat of the higher office of the United States government, is not of any help to Africa. You are just like a slave, like in the 18 or how they call it, or 20s, when they called Adam Smith to the White House. They are economists, and it was asking him, how can we do to treat these slaves so that they can rebel against us? And that's the time Adam Smith came out of that theory that was used on William Ruto. This is why history is very important. This is why we need to learn. This is why we need to read. So Biden applied that same theory from 1821. He applied it in the 21st century. Why? When Biden was in power, you know the time recently, before Trump came in. You get me? So that theory that Adam Smith came with in 1821, Adam Smith told Congress, the only way the slave will not rebel against you, the only way the slave will not know, say that you hate them, the only way the slave will not identify you that you are the enemies, you are the devil, you are the problem, the only way the slave will not identify that, the only way the slave will be productive, because that's what the slave was for, to be productive. The only way the slave will be productive is to recognize the slave. And then Adam Smith said, in a meeting with Congress, 1820s, if it costs you to sit on a king's table where the slave master and the slave will sit on the same table to drink, to break bread, and eat on the same table, do it. If it will cost you for the slave and the slave master to sit in the same church, on the same pew, on the same land, and not a slave sitting at the back and the slave master at the front. If it calls for the slave and the slave master to sit on the same pew in the church, do it. Even if it costs you for the slave to go and stay on the pulpit and preach to the slave master, do it. Because if you do that, the slave in his mind will think he's a free man. The slave in his mind will think you are now equal to him. The slave in his mind will think he's part of the decision making. But now, the reality is, you just finding a way for the slave to be submissive. You just finding a way for the slave to be productive. You just finding a way for the slave not to rebel against you. You just finding a way to have your own way. When you speak, the slave obeyed. You are looking for an obedient slave, not a rebellious slave. That was Adam Smith's theory in the 1820s. And the reason why they call Adam Smith in the 1820s to do that was the time they were finding a way to take the rebellious slave out of the United States to Africa, today Liberia. That was where they carried the rebellious slave. The rebellious slave were the slave that rose up in the 1820s with coup to go and assassinate James Maroon in Richmond, Virginia. Our history is so good. They cannot lie to us. And that is why we can beat our chest anytime and tell anybody we want to debate. When it comes to the issue of Liberia, we want to debate. And that's how the story about Liberia came. And Adam Smith, in a meeting with the United States Congress, told them what to do even when they are taking a slave to Africa, today Liberia. Well, the slave will not rebel. So in the same way, Joe Biden did that to William Ruto. When William Ruto came to the United States, when they had that United States Africa Agriculture whatsoever summit, Joe Biden put William Ruto in the seat of the presidency of the United States to sit in it. While Joe Biden stood up behind William Ruto and knocking his chest, his back like this. Knocking his back. And William Ruto, in his mind, he felt that now, yes, I can sit in the higher seat of the United States presidency. Yes. So I am part. But now knowing it was a theory given to them by their forefather, and they are using it on us. And William Ruto went home to Kenya, and he felt he was equal to Joe Biden. You can never be equal to any Western leader in their mind. But the truth is, you are more than them. The truth is, you are above them. The truth is, you need to control these people because you have what they have. I mean, you have what they want, and you have what they don't have. It's a mind game they play on you so-called damn African leaders who are so dumb. Not all of you. I'm talking to the dumb PS1, the dumb one. It's a mind game they play on you. And people like William Ruto continue to agree to that mind game. At this time, no African leader should take any response or anything from the West. At this time. At this time. Look at what we are playing here. Look at all these things. Are we making story out? Are we just speaking? No, we are speaking the obvious. We are reacting to the obvious. Now, the video I just placed, right? The guy who said Europe interest is at stake. And then he said, what they need to do now, because they have tried all means, what they need to do now, that was France. What they need to do now is to get to Europe. If it will cause them to mobilize army to go and fight Africa for their interests. What interest Europe have in Africa? They are miles and miles and miles and miles away. Not even close. In fact, Africa is just different continent and Europe is another different continent, miles and miles away. They don't even share border. They don't even share common interests. The race are not even the same. The color are not the same. The climatic conditions are not even the same. Nothing. They have nothing in common. So what is that interest that they are going to fight? We play some of these things for these so-called African leaders who have not yet waken up to see it and come to the reality. You will never be friends to Europe. You will never be friends to any European leaders. Never. It will never happen. No. It's not that we are the one holding back. No. It's not that we are the one who want it to happen. No. But we are just speaking the obvious. In their mind, it will never happen because the day it happened, that means they fall. So in their mind, it is something that's never going to happen. So we are speaking their mind. We are speaking how they think. So we're not the one that have the problem to say, oh, Europe and Africa will never come together. No, we are not the one having a problem or just because we are saying it. We are saying it because we understand them now. It will never happen. We can never ever come together. Don't get it twisted. It will never happen. So that French guy, he said, their interest is at stake. So if they need to mobilize to put a European army together to go and fight and destroy Africans. So how can these people come and tell you about human rights? You agree to it when these are people who are plotting your demise to come and kill you, to come and unalive you, to come and drum biscuit and drum bomb on you. So now you see, they then now go to the European Parliament. Watch this and see the plot the European Parliament is doing against Africa. This is not just Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This is the African continent.
Es folgt die Aussprache über das Thema anhaltendes, hartes Vorgehen.
Look at this, folks. How can, so, okay, let's do this, right? Let's do this. Does it make sense for African, even though we don't believe in African Union, right? We don't believe in it because it's just another wasted, full organization of a full organization. Now, that is not to say we are trying to discredit the people who founded our forefather then. No, we are talking about this modern day, how do you call it? AU, because it was never AU, it was African Unity, right? But now, that's the Organization of African Unity, but now it's African Unity. So we are talking about the African Unity, not the Organization of African Unity. We are talking about the AU, the African Unity, not the O. Okay? So we are saying the AU because they try to steal the model of the EU because their colonial master told them. But let's just, how to call it right? Let's play the devil advocate. Imagine AU, the African continent, non-white, okay, just black, go and sit in their parliament and not discussing anything about Africa, but discussing about Europe. Imagine now. Just picture in your head what AU is for. Just picture in your head what AU is for. What AU was funded for. What AU should be for. Just picture it in your head, okay? Now, put this. Okay, put it this way. Then now, AU go and sit, right? And be talking about Europe. How they want to do this to Europe. How this, imagine, picture that in your head, right? And look at this video.
Gegen den zivilgesellschaftlichen Raum und die Grundfreiheiten in Burkina Faso. Und ich gebe zunächst Christophe Gomard das Wort. 1 minute, please.
Le Burkina Faso, ce pays d'Afrique de l'Ouest, illustre aujourd'hui l'échec dramatique de la junte militaire au pouvoir depuis le coup d'État de 2022. En 4 ans, le pays s'est progressivement isolé de la communauté internationale, a été suspendu de plusieurs organisations régionales et internationales, tandis que les libertés fondamentales y sont méthodiquement réduites. Dans le même temps, la situation sécuritaire s'est aggravée. Plus de la moitié du territoire échappe au contrôle de l'État.
Okay. I'm going to skip it to the next speaker, right? But basically, all of them, because imagine the video we play, right? The French guy said, European interest is at stake. What Europe need to do is to mobilize. And he said, it will come to a point, we have to mobilize the entire European army. They did that with NATO. They mobilized the European army, NATO, right? They went to Khadafi. That's the same thing they are saying here, that they had to again regroup to mobilize the European army, NATO, along with the US, because that's what they did. They killed Khadafi and destroyed Libya. It was NATO. These are the same people, right? Now, what they are saying here is the whole Europe need to come together. The same way they did it with NATO and remove Khadafi in the interest of themselves, right? They need to do the same thing. So that's what he's saying here. Okay, and then how Burkina Faso is against human rights, how the joint leader, XYZ, and blah, blah. That's what he's saying here. You watch it in the first video. So I don't want to play the entire thing to make it, because he's stupid and dumb. He's idiot. He's devil. He's demon. And they will never succeed. Now, look at the next speaker. Just look at the next speaker.
Thank you. The next speaker is Muriel Laurent.
Merci Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire, chers collègues. Une société civile libre est primordiale pour tout État. Elle agit comme un garde-fou contre les abus de pouvoir et donne une voix aux citoyens. Mais au Burkina Faso, cette voix est méthodiquement réduite au silence. En quelques mois, plus d'une centaine d'organisations de la société civile ont été dissoutes, des centaines d'associations suspendues. Des journalistes et des médias sont réduits au silence, des étudiants arrêtés pour avoir critiqué le régime.
Okay, so the same thing again, right? So we're going to skip it to the next speaker. I'm not going to play all of these idiots, these demons. But listen to this. I'm just like I said, right? Just picture the AU and know what the AU is for. All right. So just say these are African people, these are black people, went to AU and start talking about EU like this, how they want to remove EU government, how they want to remove the French government, they want to remove the British government, they want to remove the Polish government, the Swedish government, the Norwegian government. Just put that in your head. You Africans, some of you Africans will be the one to even come and say, but well, why are you guys so concerned about Europe removing this government? Why are you guys not concerned about how to build African resources, and y'all leave Europe alone? You people will be doing the same thing, right? But this is Europe here. See what they are doing here. These are the people that colonize you, enslave you, castrate you, kill your leaders. These are the people that killed Khadafi. These are the people that say Africa will never rise. Because 1884 Berlin Conference, their forefathers said it, and they are going by the script their forefathers wrote. Their forefathers said, our children, the message should be passed on to them that Africa and her descendants will never rise. That was the last statement of those idiots, those demons that sat down in the 1884 Berlin Conference before they went to devour Africa. That was what they said. And their descendants are going exactly by what was left behind for them. So you see here, all of them, you see, any women, all of them, look at her, she's a woman. She's a woman, but they all acting that they are blind, they're not seeing the development, okay, the improvement going on in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Say they kick the French out, say they kick the American military out, say they kick all these foreign fashion out, say they kick their social media or their media that was running fake propaganda, say they kick them out. Look at how the people are uniting. Look at how the people are uniting. The people are working together for their own common interest and common goal. Unlike when they were there. But they are acting that they are blind. So you see here, right? So all of them, they gang against Africans. Because what Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are fighting for, they are fighting for Africa. They are not just fighting for Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Let's continue. So you see what? So it's the same thing, the same narrative, all of them. All right? Let's get to the next one.
my dad,
Get to the next
1976, 6.1 tall, over 220 pounds on day one of military.
Al-Kaidą i państwem islamskim, którzy porywają ludzi, palą wsie, mordują całe wspólnoty. Mówimy dziś o Burkina Faso, państwie, które płonie, podpalone przez dżihadistów powiązanych z Al-Kaidą i państwem islamskim, którzy porywają ludzi, palą wsie, mordują całe wspólnoty. Do tego brutalny terror państwowy realizowany przez juntę wojskową wobec własnych obywateli. Pod płaszczykiem walki z dżihadem niszczy się wolność. Rozwiązano partie polityczne, organizacje społeczne, dziennikarzy.
So again, these are people who are saying they are speaking for Africa, but they are speaking the language that no African leader or how they call it, no. They are speaking for Burkinabe, but no Burkinabe can understand even the language they're speaking. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine the audacity of these people? These are people who are speaking a language that even the Malian cannot understand. These are people who are speaking the language that even the Nigerian cannot understand, African cannot understand. So what she's saying, what she's saying, right? The terrorists are increasing in Burkina Faso. The terrorists are increasing in Mali, Niger. The terrorists are increasing. Now that those places, they are the terrorist hubs. But she forgot to mention who support the terrorists. She forgot to mention who fund these terrorists. She forgot to mention when the terrorists got shot, when they are shot at, when they are wounded, where these terrorists are taken for treatment and then sent back to Africa to fight for them. She forgot to mention that. You see these idiots? You see, these people are the devil. These people are the demon. These people are Africa's enemy. You see that? Skip. Let's go to the next speaker.
Czerwone światła, naciski na niezależne media, próby paraliżowania pracy niezależnych telewizji, ataki na dziennikarzy opisujących bezprawne działania władzy, próby wymuszania 3 miesiące w zemście, że opisał aferę jednego. To dyktatura. Thank you very much. The next speaker is Jan-Christophe Oetjen.
Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire, chers collègues, nous, libéraux, condamnons fermement la dissolution et la suspension des organisations de la société civile et appelons les autorités burkinabées à annuler immédiatement ces mesures afin de garantir un espace civique libre et indépendant. Nous, libéraux, exigeons la fin de l'intimidation.
Again, the same thing, you see. So all of them, they gang up on Africa. Like I said, imagine the AU, African Union in Africa. Imagine the African Union, AU in Africa, in the African Parliament, sitting there, doing this, talking about how they want to go and remove European leaders. Imagine this. And imagine they are not even speaking English. Let's say they are speaking Airway, where Europe can even understand. They are speaking Yoruba. Europe cannot understand. They are speaking Airway. They are speaking Tree. They are speaking Fanti. They are speaking how they call it, Kisi, Mande, okay, Madingo. They are speaking these African languages that Europe cannot even understand. Imagine how stupid and dumb these people sound. These Europeans, they are so dumb and stupid. Or they think we are still buying that narrative that the white man come from heaven, that the white man is a representation of God, that the white men, they are the chosen people of God. They think we have that in mind again, that we're going to put white people picture on the wall and say they are Jesus. No, you guys are the devil, synagogues of Satan. You guys are the one. You guys are the wicked. The Bible speak about that the war is in the hands of the wicked. You guys are the one, because you guys are the one that run the war, and you guys are wicked. The Bible said the war is in the hands of the wicked. The same thing. You see that? So you so-called Africans in various African nations that emulating, oh, we are going to the European Union. We want to call on the European Union. This is the European Union sitting in the European Parliament plotting your demise, plotting to come and drop biscuit on you, plotting to come and drop bomb on you, plotting to mobilize their army to come and kill you. Let's go to the next speaker.
Les libertés fondamentales rediront au silence les voix critiques. Nous libéraux, nous opposons clairement à toute réintroduction de la peine de mort au Burkina Faso qui constituerait un grave recul pour les droits fondamentaux. Merci.
Merci. The next speaker is Catarina Vieira.
Colleagues, today in Burkina Faso, critics are silenced, journalists disappear, political parties are dissolved, civil society organizations are suspended, human rights defenders, judges, students, and opposition figures face arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and intimidation. Proposed legislation to reintroduce the death penalty and criminalize LGBTQI+ people raises further concern.
So again, the same script, the same narrative. You understand that? All right? So again, now they are speaking about human rights, right? Or LGBT, right? You see these people. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this for African people to understand. You see, when they are talking about human rights actually only apply to poor country they call poor. That's why human rights apply. Human rights does not apply to the United States. Have you seen anybody talking about human rights in the U.S.? Have you seen any journalists come and talk about human rights in the U.S. with all the atrocity? With all the right against human being in the U.S.? Do you see human rights advocate? Do you see human rights or a journalist? Do you see human rights writers or journalists come and talk about human rights in the U.S. and whatsoever? Do you see human rights in UK, in France, and all these things? Do you see it? Human rights is only applied to nations that they control, nations that they feed, nations that they feed, nations that they feed, they can get IMF so-called loan to. Human rights only apply to those people. It don't apply to the US. It don't apply to UK. It don't apply to France. It don't apply to none of these people. None of these colonial, how they call it, a nation, a colony. It don't apply to them. It applies to the colony. It applies to the slave nation. It applies to these people, the soft species, the soft human being. Sorry to say this, but that's how they view you. You like it or not, that's your business. As long as you continue to be subject to these people, that's how they view you. And as long as you continue to be obedient to these people, that's how they view you as soft species. As long as you continue to say yes, sir, as long as you continue to be obedient to them, that's how they view you. Sorry to say it, but you are soft species. So it is you that the human rights apply to. That's why you don't see the U.S. going to the ICC with all the heinous crime. Do you see Asia going to ICC with all these crimes against humanity? Do you see which of the European leaders you ever seen them go to the ICC? Which of the Western leaders you see them going to the ICC? They never commit crime. That's what they think. They never commit crime. That's what they think. So who are these people to come and tell LGBT or should be this? No, LGBT is the United States culture. LGBT is a Western culture. Nobody get problem with it. You don't see African leaders or Europe or AU go and sit down and talk about how to call it. People in the US need to marry 2-3 women. You don't see them talking about that. Because what they do in the US, that's European culture. That's Europe culture. That's American culture. That's not African people to discuss about it. So your right in the US does not mean that same right should be applied to Africa. And the right in Africa, that does not mean that same right should be applied in the US. For example, in Africa, people marry 3 wives, 4 wives. Do people marry 4 wives here? So that means African people should come to the United States government and say you are against human rights. Why people only marry 1 woman and one man? So that means African people should come and say, no, America is violating human rights. Europe is violating human rights because it is our right. If somebody want to marry to the wife, if somebody want to marry, to get into a relationship or a marriage that is already been marriage, if a woman want to get in a relationship, you call it against human rights? So why can African come and tell people and tell American government, European government, that the same way you say LGBT should be practiced in Africa and Africa don't like it, you should practice one man, 4 wives. You should practice one woman, or 3 women, or 1 man, or 1 man, 3 women, or 1 woman, 2 men, 1 woman, 3 men. Why can't you come? We need to advocate that. Will America accept that? It is all right. Because if I want to marry 3 women, that should be my right. Why should the government stop me? That's my right. If a woman wants to marry 2 men, why should the government stop them? Why should society stop them? That's their right? Because it happened in Africa. But we don't have time for that. If America say 1 man, 1 woman, that's their way of life. So if Africa say another man cannot look into another man's anus, why should that be a problem? If Africa say if the U.S. can look, if a man in the U.S. can look in the anus of another man, we cannot do that in Africa. Why should that be a problem? If somebody do not want to look in somebody's anus in Africa, it shouldn't be a problem. If they want to look in another man's anus, they should come to the U.S. and practice because that's the culture there. Or they should go to Europe and practice because that's the culture there. They see where people can take vacation and go for tourism in Africa to go learn about different festivals and those things. Yes, people can do that too. They come to the U.S. and come and see the other festival. It's a festival in the U.S. there for another man to come and look at another man's anus. That's a festival, right? They can come and do it. But you cannot enforce your way on other people's way only because you want to leave the U.S. Anytime you go to Africa, you have your freedom. Anytime you leave Europe, you go to Africa, you have your freedom. That BS is not going to happen no more. Let's continue to the next one. This demon, human right. You call that human right? So if it is human right, why can't you allow men in the U.S. or in Europe to marry 4 wives or 5 wives? Why can't you allow women in the U.S. or in Europe to marry 2, 3 men, 2, 3 husbands? Because it is human right, it is their right. Why can't you allow it? Idiot, Jimmy Papa. Next video, next speaker. Everything you guys planning about Africa will now work. Because we are not going to agree to it. Now we know you guys are the enemies to Africa. Now we know our enemies.
Peter Piper persistently missed packages. So he scheduled his deliveries with Amazon Business. Peter Piper picked peppers, but and positively prospered. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
You're about to lose $50,000 for your car accident because you don't know this one trick. Check this out. I'm an attorney. I've been doing this for years. And I'm standing here because most people walk away.
Now, after this speaker, I'm going to take this video out. This speaker was the only speaker that questioned all the speakers that came out there. This guy was the only speaker that questioned everything they said. This guy was the only man that said, you guys talking about Burkina Faso. You guys talking about terrorists and all of those things. But we are the one that fund the terrorists. So why can't you have problem with the people that fund the terrorists, but you have problem with the people that are fighting the terrorists? This guy was the only one that questioned that so-called European Parliament that you are doing these things because you have lost your interest in Africa. You have lost your interest in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. because they no longer want you there. So instead of us doing this, why can't we renegotiate, go back and change our tactics and try to work with the people what they want so we can work together? This man was the only man that came and disagreed and said, no, I do not agree to what you guys are saying. You see it? He disagreed with them. He said no, because he see the truth. So he stand for the truth. So he spoke the truth in their faces.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Écoutez, chers collègues, oui, il faut que les droits humains soient respectés, mais en écoutant certains de mes collègues, notamment français à droite, je sens un peu que vous avez un peu le somme d'être expulsé, d'avoir été expulsé du Sahel, non? Et tout commence à un peu s'éclaircir dans ma tête, parce que je me suis demandé, en Belgique, en France, on continue à produire, à acheter du matériel militaire pour des milliards d'euros, qui est désigné, qui a été pensé précisément pour être utilisé dans le Sahel. Je me suis dit, c'est bizarre, parce qu'on nous dit qu'il faut se défendre de la Russie, mais on achète ce matériel militaire spécialisé pour l'Afrique. On va ponctionner nos pensions, nos hôpitaux, nos écoles pour faire ça. Je trouvais ça bizarre, je me suis demandé pourquoi. Et j'ai été regardé, j'ai compris que la région du Sahel, en fait, s'est imposée ces dernières années comme un des corridors miniers les plus importants d'Afrique. Le Burkina Faso est l'un des plus grands producteurs d'or en Afrique, mais dispose aussi de cuivre, de zinc, de manganèse, de phosphate. Le Mali va bientôt devenir le deuxième producteur africain de lithium. Le Niger détient évidemment des centaines de milliers de tonnes d'uranium. Et pendant des années, des décennies, les entreprises européennes ont eu un accès pas cher à toutes ces ressources, toutes ces richesses. Résultat, des pays pillés et une pauvreté extrême pour leur population. Et maintenant, vous avez peur de perdre ces accès. Mais plutôt de vouloir toujours nous ingérer, de toujours faire la guerre, parce qu'on a vu avec la destruction de la Libye ce que ça donnait, aidons plutôt ces pays avec tout ce qu'on peut pour soutenir leur développement souverain. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. The next speaker is Lukas Mandel. Eine Minute.
All right, so I took it out, right? So now you see the whole thing. Look, this is WCC. I told you people, we'll do our research, put the material together, put the stuff together. No opinion on this platform. So if we are shouting for a reason. If we are shouting for a reason. So you see it. If we have not yet identified our enemies, then we're on our own. But at this time, I don't think Africa should listen to anything that comes from Europe. And to the African continent, and those of you that are on the African continent in very African perspective, so-called nation, you need to stop calling on European Union, international community. You see all these things. There's no international community to come for you. This is Europe sitting down, planning your demise, how to come and drop bomb on you so that they can kill you, unalive you, so that they can possess your land because of your resources. Are they the people to come and speak for you? International community, writing letters, marching to various embassies. Those embassies are not there in your interest. Those embassies are there representing their government, representing their policy. Those embassies are there to spy on your government. Plain blind, they are spies. All those embassies, they are all spies. That's why when you go to the African continent, right, these foreign embassies are seated to strategic places. Pay attention to it. These embassies, these foreign, Lord, look, Africa, and then come to the Western world, to Europe, and see where these African embassies are. They are not to any strategic location. They are not even to, look, oh God. Go and see where these African embassies are. In the US, in Europe, go and see where they are. They are just sitting in the middle of the town. among the people. But go to the African continent and go and see where these foreign embassies are. Go there. Just do that as a homework. Go and see where these foreign embassies are seated in various African nations. It's so sad. It's sad, man. It's very sad. But truth. At this time, if you stay safe to depend on Europe to get information from them to come and tell you about human rights or this, these are people that sat down in a parliament plotting your demise. This is not about human rights. They are planning how they're supposed to mobilize their army to come and drop biscuits. Bomb on you. That's what that meeting was for. You heard the European guy, the French guy. Europe interest is at stake. We need to now mobilize the entire Europe and mobilize our army and go and fight for our interests. They did that with Khadafi. What you saw with Khadafi, that's Europe that mobilized their army. NATO, that's them. Along with Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. is part of that NATO. They went there. That's the same thing they want to do. And then afterward, they come back to you and tell you, say, so everything they're saying down there is not about our interest. Because after they succeed, even though it's not going to happen, but let's just put it in Khadafi case. After a few years, what did they do? They come back to or they tell us, say, oh, what they said about Khadafi was lie. It was false. By the end of the day, Khadafi is dead. Do you see European Union with all the information, with all the documents that have come out? Do you see European Union talking about what they did in Libya? NATO should pay, America should pay. Do you see them? These people are the devil. But now, Africa, we should know they are the devil. They are not our friends. They are our enemies. They will never be. We can never exist together. Again, let me repeat. It's not because we are the problem that don't want it to happen. But it's them. Their heart is evil. Their heart is full of hate. It's them. Because we have done nothing to Europe. We have done nothing to the West. It's them who have done something to us. But guess what? We still bring them in our midst. We still bring them to the African continent. Guess what? We still call them partners. What these people did to us, had it been the other way around, let's be frank here. Yeah, let's be frank. We're never going to be partners. These people are never going to call partner. It was never going to happen. It is the truth. Sometimes it's hard to say, but we have to say the truth. And the truth shall set you free. Those of you who are Christian, who go to church, who read the Bible. That's it. When we say these things, some of you who read the church, who go to church and sit in the pew and pay your offering, your tithe and thing, you read it in the Bible, speak the truth, and the truth will set you free. Stand for the truth, and the truth will set you free. But when somebody speaks to you the truth, then you say that person is bringing hate. You see? Let's continue. These are the demons that want us to listen to them, that they are speaking for human rights. They are speaking for Africa. Stupid people. You see? What I'm about to show you, right? This is what exactly they want to see happen in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This is what's going on in Nigeria. But do you see them talking about it? This is what exactly going on in Nigeria. The Nigeria where they say they have the United States troop. They have the United States troop fighting terrorists, right? Look at Nigeria. Watch this.
Kai me yasa kake haka ne Aminu? Kai wannan ma me yasa kake haka ne Aminu? Me yasa kake haka ne? Sun tubo an bi ne.
Now, did anyone understand what is going on in our video? Did anyone understand what is going on in our video? Did anyone get what is going on in our video? Now, let me tell you what is going on in our video. Let me just go back to the video so I can be pointing out stuff. Now, this is the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the so-called Africa superpower. Now, it's lie. They are no longer Africa superpower. Okay? They are Africa's deadliest power. They're not Africa superpower. No. We should take that from them. They are no longer Africa superpower. Now, let me tell you what is going on in this video. You see these guys right here? These are Nigeria police. These guys standing here, these are officers. Okay? Now, you see this guy on the motorbike, these are terrorists. These are the terrorists, the bandit, the Boko Haram. These people. Now, imagine, this is Nigeria. These terrorists have motorbike. They have modern weapons. Look at them. They're parading in the nation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you have a police officer. These are police officers for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These guys are looking at the terrorists and waving at the terrorists. Imagine, these guys are waving at the terrorists, praising the terrorists. Imagine that. These terrorists go to villages and kidnap women, children, and rape them, kill them. These are police officers working for the Federal Republic of the Nigeria. They are the ones standing on the street, on the sidewalk, waving to the terrorists, greeting the terrorists. Oh my God. Oh my God. Imagine that. So this is what exactly the European Union want to see happen in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This is Nigeria, and you have one of the most powerful military in the world, one of the most sophisticated military in the world. The United States Armed Force is in Nigeria. Oh boy. Let's continue. Let's continue.
You people like to say, let's forget, let's not blame anyone. Now, please stop that nonsense. When the Holocaust happened against the Jews, it was 1940s, 45. Not a single African country other than Ethiopia and those who had not been colonized was free. The first African country got independent 1957. There is not a single Jewish person who will allow you to forget the Holocaust. And in fact, there are crimes, not just in Israel, across the world against denial of the Holocaust. US foreign policy, Israeli foreign policy is very key. It's a central issue. Africans, for some reason, must forget something that happened 50 years ago, if you are Zimbabwe 80 years ago. Listen, we must always remind our friends from Europe and elsewhere that slavery was a crime against humanity, as is colonialism and neo-colonialism. That killing Sankara in 1984 because you are opposed to communism and plunging his country into chaos that you are now trying to solve as a problem of poor governance is a shared responsibility. So we will take responsibility for our nakedness. But for goodness sake, a naked emperor cannot lecture us about how to be clothed. And I'll tell you the contradictions. When Europeans first came here, if you come to the south of the continent, ladies did not wear long skirts and they did not cover their top. Then they said, no, that's indecent. So we covered everything, including the head. And then the Europeans have decided to go nude now. Now the dress code in Europe is pre-colonial Africa. And then when our kids try and dress up that way, we say it's an African. We are confused around ownership. You people like to say, let's forget, let's not blame anyone.
Exactly. And this is why we cannot, we should not, and will never. We should not and cannot and will never forget what the white man did to the black men. We cut in a spade. We cannot, we will not, and should not, and will never forget what Europe did to the African continent. What North America did to the African continent. We will never forget it. In fact, the more you become stubborn, the more we go and dig the story, and the more we become stubborn too. We will never forget it. Never will we forget. And we will not even again buy your story. We will not buy your narrative. Because now we know you are the devil. Now we know you are the demon. Now we know you are the obvious. Now we know you are our enemies. Listen to this. This is another reason they don't want Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to exist or to rise. This is another reason they don't want Africa to exist or Africa to rise. Listen to this. To this former U.S. Marine. Listen to what he said. He don't mention his war. Listen to this.
At the world playing field, the greatest danger to the world, is Iran. And Iran getting access to nuclear warheads. Him going in and saying, look, I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure the U.S. is safe, but the world is safe because we just can't trust this particular people with that type of weapon of mass destruction.
I get.
Does he get any? Go ahead.
No, I get where you're going. I mean, I definitely get it, but I mean, you look at North Korea, look at China. There's a lot of other countries with nuclear weapons. Only one country has used them. Everybody, we were quick to use it. I mean, we dropped 2 of them, atomic bombs. We didn't have no issue with killing hundreds of thousands, millions in the long run of innocent people. We're the only ones that have ever used them. So I go back to the whole thing of like, who are we? It's like throwing stones in a glass house at this point. Like, how are we to say you can't have them? We're more morally right to kill innocent people than you are. We can do that. We can kill them by the hundreds of thousands, by the millions. But nah, I don't like it when you do it. It's the fact we don't go after these other countries that don't like us and do chant the same thing Iran has been chanting, death to America. We don't fuck with North Korea. We don't want to go fight a war with them. We don't want to go fight a war with China. All these other nuclear superpowers, we are Pakistan. We don't want to mess with these people. We letting Pakistan be like the middleman at some point, allegedly, with these negotiations. Pakistan's the same people that was supposedly harboring Osama bin Laden, the #1 terrorist in the world. It's the same country. We don't mess with them because they do have nuclear weapons. We don't want anybody else to because that limits the access we have to mess with people in the Middle East. We don't want to mess with nobody with nuclear weapons. We want to be the ones to have them. And if you already have had them, We don't do nothing. It's just a bunch of tough talk. But on a moral stage, morally, who are we to say? America should have no, and I love my country, but we should have no, I believe, like, we don't have no right of saying, oh, this is a terrorist organization, terrorist country, and they just want to kill innocent women and children. Like, we didn't do that in 1945. We dropped 2 bombs in cities, knowing what it was going to do. So, I mean, that's not that long ago. There's people who are still alive from that era. So who are we to have this more high ground and standpoint to say, we don't want you to have this weapon because it's going to kill, and that's all you want to do is kill military, not military, but innocent civilians. We bombed innocent civilians. Like, we're the only ones that have ever used that. So why should we be on this more high ground to say you can't have it, you can't have it, you can't have it, and the ones that do have it, why ain't we at war with them? I mean, North Korea is allegedly this like bad country that, I mean, not too long ago in my lifetime, relatively, like in the past decade, it was a threat with North Korea, can't have nuclear weapons. We hate Russia, we hate China.
If we are looking at the world playing field, the greatest danger to the world.
So you heard it. That's Nick, right? He's a former U.S. sniper that fought in Iraq. And he even stated he regretted why he went in Iraq. There was no reason he should have been in Iraq. There was no reason they went to Iraq. He didn't know. But later, while there, he got to know. So you heard what he said. These people cannot fight a nation that fight back. These people cannot fight a nation that is strong, a military strong, that have the capability. They can. So they are looking at the Shahid nation. They are saying that these 3 nations, if we allow them to succeed, other African nations will join them. And that's how they will become powerful. And our interest in Africa will be at stake. What interest do they have in Africa? To loot our resources. So that's why they don't want it to happen. They are playing all these propaganda fake thing that they did to Khadafi, killed Khadafi. They want to do the same thing with the Shahidi nation. You heard what Nick Kenny said. These nations can never ever fight a nation that can fight back. A nation that have the military capability. They can. And then I'm looking at the African continent. The African continent have all these resources, and they have all the, in fact, they are the youngest populated continent in the world. If we allowed Africa as a continent to unite and to rise, they're going to have the greatest force on planet Earth. And that's going to be done for us. That is why they are fighting to bring down Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. You remember, 1884 Berlin Conference, these people forefathers said, left a message for them that Africa and her descendant, and that descendant, it does not just mean people on the African continent, even those that were brought into slavery, they are part of that descendant. Because they are Africans, because they are part of the African continent, they were taken from their homeland. So when they are saying Africa and her descendant, they are not just talking about those that are on the African continent or the remnant that was left there on the African continent. No. These people that was brought here, even though they do not know their homeland again, but they are part of that descendant. That's why J.L. Hugo said the greatest enemy, the greatest threat to Europe and America was Negro unity. Was that for the descendant that was brought here, the African that was brought here in chain, in charcoal, their descendant to unite with the remnant on the African continent was the greatest threat to Europe and America. Imagine that statement. Keep that statement in your neck, in your head. Keep it there. Keep that statement there. And that go hand in hand with the statement that was made in the 1884 Berlin Conference that Africa and her descendants will never rise. That was a message that they left with their descendant that was going to come after them. And that's why you see all this going on. So you see that European Parliament they just had was a replication of the 1884 Berlin Conference in Germany. So you saw all of them sitting down there. And that same replication took place in the Khadafi 2011. Don't get it twisted. Our enemies are well known.
Just turned up the heat on Ibrahim Traore. The European Parliament passed a resolution on Burkina Faso by an overwhelming margin, 476 in favor, just 11 against. The move has sparked outrage in Ouagadougou.
Burkina Faso, this West African country, illustrates today the dramatic failure of the military junta in power since the coup d'etat of 2022. In 4 years, the country has gradually isolated itself from the international community, been suspended from several regional and international organizations, while fundamental freedoms are methodically reduced. At the same time, the security situation has worsened. More than half of the territory is beyond the control of the state, and several million Burkinabés have been displaced and need humanitarian aid.
Is this pressure for democracy or politics dressed as diplomacy? What do you think? Europe has just...
So you see it. You see how they play their game. That's Creto Gomo. That's a French guy there from the French parliament that were in the European Parliament. He's a French government. So you see the narrative. 80% of Burkina Faso is in the hands of the terrorists. You see what a data. He's saying 80% of Burkina Faso is in the hands of the terrorists. If 80% of the nation is in the hands of the terrorists, then that means there's no more leader. In fact, then, you see these people, how can 80% of the land be in the hands of the terrorists and the terrorists not in government and the terrorists not in control? Folks, listen to this. How can 80% of Burkina Faso be in the hands of the terrorists and the nation is not in control of the terrorists? But the men who have 20% is in control of the nation. Does that make sense? You see these people, how they lies? You see these people, they are the devil, they are the demons, they are our enemies. 80% of Burkina Faso is in the hands of the terrorists, but the terrorist is not in charge of the nation, but the person that's in charge of the nation is the person that has 20%. Does that make sense? You see these people? And it was the same man that said, over millions of Burkinabés are displaced, but there's no evidence, no video, no data. But he said millions of Burkinabés are displaced. Where? In different countries? Because you can't be displaced in your own country, in your own land. You can only be displaced if you leave, then you go to the neighboring country for refuge. But are Burkinabés in Ghana seeking refuge? Are being displaced in Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, Benin? Are they Burkinabés being displaced? Nigerian? Are they being displaced in those places? You see, these people, they are the devil. But now we should know these people are our enemies. They are not our friends. They don't see us as friends.
Do you know that an African country fought war with United States of America and won that war? An African country declared war on the United States and won that war. Pay attention, let me teach you. You see, today, the world see America as the global power, world power. But what if I told you that 200 years ago, America paid an African ruler to avoid being attacked? And when they refused to pay, war began, and that African country won that war. It is called the Barbar War, 1801 to to 1805. Pay attention, let me teach you. This is kind of history can't get anywhere except from the modern day town crier, the voice of Akebulan. Because right here, wisdom now water. Pay attention. You see, in the early 1800s, the Babao state, which is Tripoli, that is the modern Libya, Algiers, Tunis, and Morocco, they controlled the Mediterranean Sea trade route. They controlled that trade route, the Mediterranean Sea trade route. The Babao state controlled it. European trade ship and American ship needed to pass through those waters to trade. That was a route that European and American trade ships were passing through. They needed those waters to trade. But there was a system. The system was that any foreign country passing through that water must pay tribute, which was called protection money, to the Babao state. You must pay money to the Babao state. Remember, I said the Babao state is Tripoli, which is the modern Libya, Tunis, Algiers, and Morocco. You must pay to them before you pass through that Mediterranean trade route. At some point, the ruler of Tripoli, who was Pasha Yusuf Kalamali, demanded payment from the United States. He said America should pay him before passing there. America paid. But later on, the President of America, Thomas Jefferson, refused to pay. And then Tripoli declared war on America. 1801. American warships tried fighting the Tripoli forces in the Mediterranean. They tried fighting them, but they were far from home. And they were unfamiliar of the terrain against a more experienced North African naval fighters. In fact, at some point in that war, American warship USS Philadelphia was captured by Tripoli forces, and its crew members were taken as prisoners. Eventually, in that war, America decided to negotiate peace. After years of costly fighting and failed attempts, America negotiated peace in 1805. They still paid money to Tripoli, and they still ransomed their prisoners. America did not have a swift, clean military victory in that war. They paid. What am I saying? I am not saying that America is weak. I am saying that power in history changes. An African state once controlled global trade route. The Babao state in the North Africa controlled Europe and Americans' entrance to trade. There was Kemite, there was Kush, there was Ottoman Empire. Power in history changes hands. No human power lasts forever in the throne of time. Tankraya, why is this history not taught in school? This kind of history I just taught you now cannot be taught in school, because history was written by the victors, and the victor cannot write the kind of history that shown that he was defeated or conquered at some point in history. As long as the lions do not have historians, it is the exploits of the hunters that will be celebrated rather than the bravery of the lions. But unfortunately for the writers, the lions now have a historian, the modern day town crier, the voice of Akebulan. Right here, wisdom now water. Akebulan, wisdom is the principal thing Aha!
All right, folks, that's today's presentation that I have to give you guys. Thank you for tuning in, listening, share, like, subscribe. Hey, let's do it, man. Like, share, subscribe. Put your comment, after the live recording, go back to after, and then put your comment, what you like, what you didn't like, what we can improve on. All right. And then let me play this last video as an entertainment before we leave.
Senegal, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Gambia, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, DR Congo, Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Gabon, Central African Republic, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe, Egypt, Morocco, Sudan, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Gambia, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, DR Congo, Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Gabon, Central African Republic, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe, Egypt, Morocco, Sudan, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Gambia, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, DR Congo, Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Gabon, Central African Republic, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe, Egypt, Morocco, Sudan, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Africa.
All right, folks, once again, thank you for tuning, thank you for listening. We are family. This is a presentation that I have to give you today. This is today's presentation. That's what I have to give because of the European Union, Parliament, the enemies, the people that killed Khadafi, they are our enemies, right? They are the demon, the devil the Bible speak of. Yeah, so they have no moral right to tell us about human rights. They have no moral right to tell us about which president or government in Africa that is right or good for us. They have no moral right to tell us what are Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, right? The three leaders according to the three kings, okay? Burkina Faso, that is Ibrahim Traoré, Keita, all right? Tiani. They have no moral right to tell us whether these people are not good leaders for us. Because you know what? All of those European leaders are bad leaders. Peace. Love you all.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings. The white power structure to slow down that struggle for freedom and human dignity uses tricks. 100 years ago they could do it with chains. Today they use tricks. And one of the tricks that they've invented is this token integration. To get Negroes, so-called Negro leaders, to accept a few token crumbs of integration that don't solve any problem for the masses of black people in this country whatsoever, but it does make the hand-picked Negroes be satisfied to slow down the cry of the masses. And a good example of that is as soon as the spirit of rebellion or revolution began to spread among the masses of black people in this country, and they began to take an active part, and they showed that they weren't confined to this nonviolent approach, then the government or the power structure began to sit up and take notice and